Why Paris was once known as the city without babies. Here are some shocking facts about parenting of the past. 1. Victorian baby bottles were called murder bottles. In Victorian times, many mothers didn't nurse. They feed their babies by the bottle instead. These bottles had a rubber nipple and tubing. The rubber was difficult to clean. Mothers only washed the bottles every 2 weeks. This made the bottles a breeding ground for bacteria. 2. The 20th century brought myths about breastfeeding. Angry mothers were thought to produce bad milk. It would give their babies colic. Mothers were advised against breastfeeding for too long. It was believed to cause brain disease in babies. It was also said to cause blindness in mothers. 3. In the 1900s, babies were given special baths. A baby was smeared in lard, butter, or olive oil. This would remove the vernix that coated them in the womb. This isn't particularly good for the baby. The vernix will usually come off on its own. 4. Parents in New York fed their babies poisoned milk. In the 1850s, New York cows were fed mash from distilleries. Their milk was mixed with water, flour, and plaster. Eggs and molasses were also added to the mixture. This gave the milk a more appealing consistency. The milk was identifiable by its bluish appearance, but parents still bought it for their kids. The milk increased infant mortality in the state. 5. 19th century babies were soothed with drugs. Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup was invented in the 1840s. It was given to crying and teething babies. The syrup contained alcohol, morphine, and chloroform. The syrup was denounced in 1911, but it was still sold as late as 1930. 6. Babies were nursed by livestock until the 20th century. All animals were used, including donkeys and horses, but goats were most preferable. Parents would place cradles right under the goats, so babies could suck directly from the udders. The goats could later recognize their infants' cries. 7. Toilet training was taken to extremes in the 19th century. The process started when a baby was 2 months old. This was believed to build the child's character. Some methods even recommended the use of soap sticks. They would provoke bowel movements in babies. 8. Swaddling used to be very restrictive. In medieval Europe, swaddling cloths were applied tightly. Infants couldn't even move their heads. People did this to make babies easier to look after. It was also thought to give them the right posture. 9. Paris was once called the city without babies. Wet nurses were very popular in the 18th century. They were hired to nurse babies if the mother didn't. In 1780, 20,000 babies were born in Paris. Only 700 of them weren't wet nursed. Only 1 out of 4 babies stayed in the city. The rest were sent out to the countryside.